November 2nd, 2023. A date destined to etch itself into the annals of music history, when the world was gifted Now and Then, the Beatles' final song. The magic behind this release wasn't only in the song itself, but in the decades-long journey it took to bring it to life.
It was the closest we'll ever come to having him back in the room.
This wasn't just another tune from a legendary band, but a time-bending, heart-rending creation born from lost vocals and newfound technology, connecting John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr one last time. For those who thought they'd heard the last notes from this iconic band, Now and Then was a bittersweet revelation. The story began in the 1970s with a grainy cassette recording. In his New York apartment, John Lennon had recorded a haunting demo on his home piano, intending it as a message to someone unknown. But fate intervened, and it remained unfinished. After Lennon's tragic passing in 1980, Yoko Ono carefully preserved the tape, knowing it was something John would have wanted to share with his bandmates. In the 90s, she entrusted the recording to Paul McCartney, who was determined to give this fragment of John's voice a new life.
I was talking to Yoko, and she said, I think I've got a tape of John.
We were pretty excited. A new John song. Amazing.
But even for the Beatles, the limitations of the time were insurmountable. The faint piano intertwined with John's vocals could not be separated, leaving the song incomplete. Fast forward to the early 2020s, and a game-changing technology arrived. Peter Jackson, director of the Beatles' documentary Get Back, developed an audio separation tool that could isolate John's voice from his piano accompaniment. It was like opening a locked vault and finding an entire world inside. Suddenly, McCartney and Ringo Starr could bring John's voice back into the studio with them, as though he was standing right there, ready to finish what he'd started. This breakthrough transformed Now and Then from a dusty, unpolished gem into a song that shimmered with the unmistakable harmony of the Beatles. But this journey wasn't just technical, it was deeply emotional. For McCartney, revisiting Lennon's voice was akin to seeing an old friend after a lifetime apart. The creation of Now and Then became a labor of love and a tribute to the bond they all shared. With Harrison's original guitar from an earlier attempt preserved, the song became a reunion in the truest sense. Four souls, each a piece of the whole, reunited across time. On November 2nd, as fans around the world pressed play, they weren't just listening to a song, they were joining a circle that had taken over 40 years to close. Now and Then became more than just a piece of music. It was a story of friendship, loss, and the undying legacy of the Beatles. The song spoke to listeners of all ages, echoing the timeless appeal of a band that had defined generations and now bridged one last gap between then and now. For Beatles fans, young and old alike, Now and Then isn't the end. It's a reminder that some stories, no matter how long they take to be told, are always worth waiting for. And in those notes, wrapped in decades of memories, the spirit of Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, and Starr lives on, humming softly like a heartbeat that never fades.